Blake here from The Lonely Wrist. In a world where some of the most iconic chronographs seem to garner the most hype, the Daytona immediately comes to mind. Being nearly unobtainable at retail has buyers looking elsewhere for chronographs. Today we have two very different pieces that you've likely considered if you're in the market for a chronograph. The Omega Speedmaster and the IWC Pilots Chronograph. Recent price increases minimized the price gap and made buying a chronograph under $10,000 much more challenging. Let's talk. Here is my brief disclaimer. This is, of course, my opinion. In this video, we are going to be comparing the Sapphire Sandwich Speedy to the IWC Pilots Chronograph. So without further ado, let's discuss. Let's start with the big and obvious differences. One is a pilot's watch. The other is a racing watch. On the Omega, you can clearly see the tachymeter, which is used to measure the average speed within a distance. There clearly isn't a functional bezel on the IWC. The pilot's watch obviously has a day and date complication, which isn't present on the Speedmaster. Let's jump into measurements. Firstly, let's start with case diameter. The pilot's watch we have is a 43 millimeter. IWC does produce a chronograph in 41 millimeter. The Speedy lands in between the two at 42 millimeters. The Speedmaster is a thinner watch, coming in at 13.2 millimeters over the pilot's chronograph at a chunky 14.8 millimeters. The Speedmaster has 20 millimeter lugs. The IWC has an awkward 21 millimeter lug. The Speedmaster measured 47.5 millimeters lug to lug, while the IWC Pilot measured 53.5 millimeters. The IWC doubles down on the water resistance at 10 bar or 100 meters, compared to the Speedmaster's 5 bar or 50 meters. The IWC achieves this with the use of a screw-down crown, which isn't found in the Speedy. Let's talk movements. The Omega houses the manual winding 3861 in the Sapphire Sandwich, which stores up to 50 hours of power. The cam design movement uses a free-sprung silicone balance spring, which protects your watch from up to 15,000 Gauss of magnetic interference. Also, this movement is a master chronometer certified by Metas. The IWC uses a self-winding caliber 69385, which stores up to 46 hours of power. The new movement utilizes a column wheel design. I can't find anything on the IWC movement having anti-magnetic properties or chronometer certifications. Let's move on to the bracelets. The Omega just recently redesigned the bracelet. The new bracelet does have a micro adjustment system, but does require tools to remove the bracelet. I've personally never liked any of the Speedmaster bracelets. I've always liked the aftermarket options from brands like Forstner. I haven't spent much time with the new bracelet, but looks to be much nicer than the previous design. Let's talk about the IWC bracelet. This thing is amazing. It wears so well, is so comfortable. The bracelet doesn't taper, but somehow it still works. The IWC logo on the bottom of the bracelet engages the micro adjustment. You don't even have to take the watch off to get the right fit. You can remove the links without tools, but putting your bracelet back together isn't for the faint of heart. I'd suggest taking it to a boutique or watchmaker. The bracelet on the new watch has an easy exchange system which allows you to swap it very quickly to a strap. Finally, let's talk about money. At the time of recording, the Omega will set you back $7,000 with a Hesalite crystal and a solid case back, and $8,000 for a sapphire crystal with a sapphire case back. The new IWC only comes with a sapphire crystal and a sapphire case back. The IWC reference that we are referring to is the IW378002, which will set you back at the time of recording $8,700. The more historical references for the Omega use the Hesalite. This is what most owners prefer. But the Sapphire is without a doubt the more modern looking watch. Let's quickly recap some of the pros and cons, starting with Omega. Pros: 15,000 Gauss of anti-magnetic resistance. Metas certified chronometer. A thinner watch. 20 millimeter strap monster. Personal preferences. Manual winding movement. No day or date complication. a tachymeter. Cons: no quick release bracelet. Have to take the watch off to loosen the micro adjustment system. Now let's go back to the IWC. Pros: column wheel design, automatic movement, no need to remove the watch to tighten or loosen the micro adjustment. Easy exchange system, multiple dial colors to choose from. Personal preference, no tools required to remove the links. Day and date complication. Cons: no advertised anti-magnetics. No advertised chronometer certification. Thicker watch with more wrist presence. 21mm lug. Doesn't have the historical speedy prestige. Let's wrap this up with my final thoughts. In a perfect world, we could have both. I do have a confession. The two watches shown here are my personal watches. Both have a place in my collection. I clearly wasn't able to choose a winner. But at the end of the day, you will have to decide what's best for you. I'd be lying if I said one was a better watch. I've had more memories with my Speedmaster, but the IWC does give more wrist time for the moment. Either way, you're deciding between two great watches. What I can say with certainty is they will both have a permanent place in my collection, even when I get the Daytona call. I can still see myself wearing the IWC on most occasions. Do you agree or disagree with my thoughts? Do you have either of these watches in your collection? Were you troubled between the Speedmaster or Pilot's Chronograph? Or did you just skip over both and go straight for the Daytona? Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, ring the bell to get alerted of more watch content, and as always, never have a lonely wrist.